Hey, this is Greg McAfee, and welcome to the Greg McAfee Show. Now let's get started. Hey, welcome back to the Greg McAfee Show, where we discuss steps to successful entrepreneurship, how to take your business to new heights, and ultimately follow your dreams. Today we're going to be discussing why reduce debt and plan for the future. Okay? Why reduce debt and plan for the future? And, according to Forbes magazine, when the pandemic hit America in 2020, 74% of small businesses took on debt. Get that, 7.4 out of 10 small businesses took on debt to offset COVID-related losses. Much of this debt came from the Small Business Administration, SBA, where $14 million plus loans were secured. And guess how they were secured? They were secured by personal collateral, okay? So these small businesses, 74% of them were not prepared for this pandemic, and many are not prepared for another one today. I mean, it might not be a pandemic. It might be something else. It could be a really, really, really bad recession. It could be a depression again one day. You know, who's going to be strong during that? Okay? So many of those companies, many of the 74% were already in debt, which means they were not ready for an unexpected turndown. When I talk about being debt-free and reducing your debt, it's a serious matter. And there's only a few people out there, percentage-wise, of small business who can actually use debt to grow their business. They're extremely good at it. Is it for me? No, not at all. But they're extremely good at it, and it works for them, and that's fine. But the rest of us, it doesn't work well. It doesn't. It's not in our nature. Okay, a lot of the 74% who were already in debt, they're definitely not using their debt to grow their business. Their debt is pulling them down like an anchor. Okay, so when the economy went south, so did their ability to be flexible and dynamic. And then their lenders had to call their loans. So a lot of companies went out of business during COVID or right after COVID. They were just not prepared for it. They were carrying too much debt. They didn't have any emergency savings, and they just were not ready for it. The first harm of debt, get this, the first harm of debt is that each monthly payment cuts into the company's cash on hand. So every time you've got to make payments, and a lot of times it's a high interest rate payment, it's cutting into the cash on hand. With more cash on hand, you can make everyday purchases, absorb surprise expenses, and get favorable terms and prices when making capital purchases. So companies with high debt have none of these advantages. I mean, they're basically screwed. They're hurting. And sending many further into debt just to get through the day or through the week or through the month, okay? In other words, they're living day by day. They're living week by week. They're living month by month to month. Debt equals lack of freedom, and that's a fact. When you're carrying a lot of debt, you're lacking freedom. So I'm going to go over a couple things that will help us here in the Why Reduce Debt and Plan for the Future podcast. Okay? Number one, have a goal to reduce debt and to be debt-free. First of all, you've got to have a goal. Without a goal, nothing happens. And there was a guy named Dr. Alex Melkamian, founder of the Financial Psychology Center in Los Angeles. And here's what he says: Becoming debt-free is connected to understanding what's important in your life. He said those striving to be debt-free tend to manage their expectations and emotions better than those who are in debt. Many people don't know how much debt they actually have, both business nor personal. They don't know their debt. And how can you how can you have a goal or pay off your debt if you don't know how much debt you have? If you don't take the time to figure out how much you owe, you can't make a plan to tackle the debt. So first of all, you've got to write down a list of all your debts and which ones you're going to choose to pay off first. And there's many different ways of doing that. Some say pay off the highest interest rate first. That's fine. Go get them. You can also, if you've got some smaller debts, just pay those off and get them off the list. I mean, that's my philosophy. Get them off the list, and then start tackling the higher interest rates. Okay? One of my favorite books, and I'm going to put it up here for display. You can see, if you've not read this, Jim Collins, in his book, Good to Great, he talks about why some companies make the leap and others don't. And he says in his book, Wells Fargo, and his book's old, I don't have the date on it right now, but he talks about it in his book. It's a very interesting book. Why do good companies, good solid companies, fail? And then why do good companies go from good to great? Okay? But he talks about Wells Fargo eliminating expensive items and including their corporate jet, elevator, and even executive dining room, and they replaced the latter with a college dorm food service caterer. CEO Carl Reichardt, who attended meetings in a beat-up old chair with the stuffing hanging out. So, in contrast, Bank of America kept their corporate jet, elevators, fancy Oriental rugs beneath floor to ceiling windows. So you'll read in there why Wells Fargo went from good to great. Okay. Personally, I went from a debt-free garage. We worked out of a 24 by 24 garage, split down the middle, half warehouse, half office. I often say if you walked into the office, you would not know it was a garage. It was extremely nice. Of course, carpet, decorated nice, and it was very professional for a garage office. And that's how we started, and that's how we do it today. We're above and beyond the norm of an HVAC company. Okay, so anyway, I personally went from a debt-free garage to building a building right next door to me here back in the 90s where I was paying $3,600 a month for a building payment. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot today, but in today's money, it's $6,600 a month. And I went from this much a month to that much per month. I had a plan. I built the building. I built 11,000 square foot building. I was going to take 3,500 square foot in the back, lease out the front. Took me 18 months to lease it. I was in it was crunch time. I was making interest-only payments to the bank, and we finally got it leased. And the amount of lease for the front paid for the entire building payment, and plus some, to put toward the taxes, which were high, and the assessments. We had assessments here where this property, they had to run all the electric and all the gas and all the drain lines and everything in here, sewer, all that stuff. So we had assessments for the first 10 years in here. So anyway, but that definitely helped pay for that. In business, you're allowed to negotiate prices. I want to just talk about that. If you're going to reduce expenses and streamline operations like a lot of the companies did in the Good to Great, in business, you're allowed to negotiate prices for material. You're also allowed to ask, can I place certain things on consignment? You're also allowed to ask for discounts if you pay bills by a certain date. Now what I mean by that is you're going to your vendors, your suppliers, and you're negotiating. And definitely you can ask, if I buy bulk, can I get a better price? If I buy 10 of these motors, can I get a better price? Knowing I'm going to use those 10 motors fast, okay? If I buy 10 of these line sets at a time, or 10 skids of these line sets at a time, can I get a better price? And the answer is 99% of the time, yes. Yes, you can. Can you negotiate how you pay? In other words, instead of having to pay in 30 days, can I pay it in 90 days? Yes, you can do that. You can ask. What's the worst they can say? No. Okay? Also, bring your team in and ask them, how can we make a process better or faster? I'm all about better and faster, folks. Better, faster, stronger, nimble, bold, quick. Okay? Hire a coach or form a board of advisors. I will not get sick of saying that. Hire a coach or form a board of advisors. Get a fresh set of eyes on your business. It is well worth it. Okay? Also, we want to pay off debt while we invest in tomorrow. This is my favorite one here in this short podcast of paying off debt and planning for tomorrow. Pay off debt while you invest in tomorrow. Years ago, I was spending more money maintaining my vehicles than I was when I ended up replacing some of those older vehicles, buying new vehicles. The line item for maintenance vehicles dropped way down. Of course, the expense of the new vehicle was there, but we were actually saving money. We were spending more on maintaining vehicles than if we just bought new ones and got them out there. It did a couple things. We looked better. We had new trucks. Our drivers were safer, and we saved money. So it was a win-win-win. When you invest in hiring better, by the way, it creates higher morale within your company. So if you're paying off debt and investing in the future, you would definitely want to hire better. You want to hire some different positions as well. Maybe a new manager somewhere. Maybe another position that would take some work off someone else. So think about that. Also, this is a good one. When you increase your prices, you get out of the bloody water of all the lowball sharks in your industry, and you go further out into the ocean where there's more blue water and less of the bloody sharks. When you increase your prices, it'll change your world. It puts you in a different category of company. Now, the first thing a lot of small business owners think is, if I raise my prices, then I won't sell as much. That's not true. If you have a solid brand where you are valued at that higher price, you won't miss a beat. Matter of fact, your sales will go up. Try it out. Test me on that. Okay? Also, if you increase marketing and branding to reach target markets more often, you will invest in tomorrow. Your branding's important, folks. Marketing's important. And of course, advertising is important. And they're all three different. You've got to brand yourself strong. Strong brand. High value. Great reputation. Potential customers need to be reached 4 to 7 times to consider entering your sales funnel. They've got to see you. You've got to be seen time and time again. 7 times. I thought if it was Jesus, he could say 7 times 70. How many times do you need to be seen? You need to be seen a lot. a lot more than what you think in order to become a solid brand. And then get out there in your community and help someone. There's families out there in your community that need your help, that only you can do it. There's kids out there that need your help. Get out there and make things happen. Figure it out. Find out how you can help. So, a few things here, wrapping it up. Business debt, especially with interest on top of borrowed money, is a drag on growth in good times and an anchor, like I said earlier, on company survival in the bad times. It'll pull you down and you will go under. As the economy bounces back, debt-burdened business strategy should be left behind. So you've got to have a goal. You've got to have a plan to get out of debt and reduce your debt and be more free, because debt is lacking freedom. Freedom to do more things. Freedom to spend more in advertising, marketing, branding. Freedom to hire better people. Freedom to buy better equipment, trucks. Freedom to buy better software. All those types of things. You know, Chick-fil-A founder S. Truett Cathy is no longer with us. However, he marked the release of his book, Wealth is Worth It, with a wide-ranging discussion about debt, long marriage, and philanthropy. He even threw in there getting good deal on clothes. He was a neat guy, really is. I want you to think about and read about Truett Cathy, and we can probably put some of these books up on the page here for you. But the Cathys, 2 sons and a daughter from Truett and his wife, are heirs to the Chick-fil-A empire, who have a fortune of today more than $14 billion. And they're one of America's wealthiest family dynasties. And it all started in a little restaurant that Truett founded way before Chick-fil-A. But I'd like to share some of the books, rather, that Truett has written or co-wrote with a few other people. But here's some titles. Principles of Success in Business. And I think that comes in a life book set of 3. Generosity Factor. Discover the joy of giving your time, talent, and treasure. And then Eat More Chicken. Inspire more people doing business the Chick-fil-A way. And then Wealth, Is It Worth It? My daughter got me that book for Christmas, and I'm just about finished it. It's an easy read, really good book. Wealth, Is It Worth It? And then he wrote, It's Better to Build Boys Than Mend Men. Good book. Conversations on Success, and one of my favorites, It's Easier to Succeed Than It Is to Fail. So those are some good books from Truett Cathy, and I only mention those because, remember, Chick-fil-A is open 6 days a week, and they are closed Sunday on purpose because it's the Lord's day of rest, and they have abided by that from day one. And I've been told many times and read many times that they do more in the malls or the new malls, whatever it is today. They do more in 6 days than all the restaurants combined in 7. So God has definitely blessed them. They have remained low debt, and they gave away a lot of the money along the way and had a lot of fun doing it and enjoyed their wealth, and it did not become a burden. So far it has made their family stronger, not weaker, like a lot of money does in some families. But he was a good role model. Taught a boys' Sunday school class for many, 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 many years, decades. Just a good guy. So if you get a chance, read some of his books. Okay, so that's what we've got today. Paying off debt and planning for tomorrow. It's very important because you don't know when the next downturn's going to be, and you need to be ready this time. Okay. So before we wrap up, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe below. You can also support this podcast by rating and reviewing on iTunes or your preferred listening platform. Keep listening because I'll keep challenging you in different ways of running your business. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Greg McAfee Show. No spaces, no underscores. Be sure to tune in next week as we'll continue on discussing business topics of growth, how to sleep better at night, and all those good things. Thanks for listening, and as always, carry on and have a great day.